Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Business drives games. Games are sold to users, and right now platforms kind of have those users by the balls, be it the iron vice of Epic exclusives or the gentle embrace of Steam. 2019 made this evident, and with the battle lines being drawn, little bar the next gen is going to impact the state of PC gaming more, especially as multi-billion-dollar companies throw their financial might around the place trying to capture more of that market, and in doing so, sort of upsetting the normal balance of the market. If you want this and more industry analysis, be sure to like and sub, and with that, let's get going. So, Epic came out swinging with their disruptive 12% cut, far less than Steam's default 30%, and they'd even waived their engine licensing fee of 5%. What was the goal? Well, I'd say there to be so dev and publisher friendly that they essentially compete for talent against Steam. Now, they focused on this to the point where, well, user experience was barely factored in. Pair that with launching before they were ready. I mean, they still don't even have a shopping cart, and yeah, they obviously drew the community's ire. They threw money around the place expecting users to go where the games are, forgetting that users also would like to get a good experience from their platform. And I think this has meant that really, in hindsight, we see that many of Steam's services have been taken for granted, and Epic actually fell into that trap. They actually caused a rift between devs and players by providing, well, for one, but not the other. And this was capitalized on the culture vultures, swinging around their terrible deeds of the capital G gamers. And I mean, yeah, there are dickheads out there in the hobby, obviously, but what a tributation problem. This, of course, lined up perfectly with the editorial goals of the likes of Kotaku and Polygon, meaning that once again, swaths of the hobby, vast numbers of people, were under undue attack. Again, some people were dickheads, yeah, but you can't lump everyone in just, because it's convenient. I mean, you can, and seemingly, that might be how you become a games blogger. And yeah, I get that saying games media is painting with a broad brush here, but when it comes to it, it's the larger outlets, the Polygons, the Waypoints, the Kotakus, they're pretty much all in league there, so I think it's reasonable. Now, this all hit its peak, of course, with Ooblets, right? A situation where the dev was just an arse, and being real, if you're a dick to people, people are going to give you heat for it. Talk shit, get hit, maybe it's not right, but it is reality, and you know what? You've got to accept reality and deal with it. Now, it also didn't help where some studios, out of necessity or otherwise, ended up taking the Epic exclusivity deals at the expense of fans, sometimes existing ones who had kickstarted, and that all, was seasoning for a venomous culture soup. All in all, Epic's approach ended up softening towards the end of the year, and that kind of leads me to believe that they didn't necessarily see the results they were hoping for. Now, if they continue that trend and they lay up even more, and they then focus on actually making a good platform, a good user experience, and they do that with as much zeal as they show towards, making a more equitable dev split, then I think they could find success. And I actually think that by being better competition, Epic would push the industry in a better direction. Give devs more money, making, development more efficient. Give customers a great service. That is how you fight the platform that everyone takes for granted, Steam. And Steam has constantly reminded us in the last year why they're the reigning king of the PC platform. In the face of Epic's, honestly incredible dev cut, industry folks started to, I think quite rightly, question the default cut of Steam, saying that 30% is outdated, saying that, that's a number from the days of physical distribution. And you know what? In terms of just selling a game, I think 30% is ridiculous, and I think that is correct. But the thing is, Steam actually is more than that. It has invested in creating a good user experience via reviews, tags, curators, Steam input, Steam Big Picture, forums, and a bunch of other features. Those things enhance the user's experience, and that actually makes Steam a more attractive option. So for purely selling a game, 30% is a bit wild, but for selling a game and then providing your users with a whole bunch of extra features, and you with even more features via Steamworks, that's a bit more reasonable. Now, Steam have at least changed their split in the $10-50 million brackets, but that does little to make indies happy. I think they're massively missing out there. Epic, in fact, has the potential to be great for indies. In a world where you've got, Epic exclusive money, Games Pass, and things like that, more and more indies will have to sign up for platforms in order to guarantee that financial stability that they probably need. Now, Steam has taken a lot of flack over the years. Some of it is fair, yes, but when we actually think about what they do, what they offer for customers, I actually think it's quite great. Like, it truly is really good. Even the core features, cloud saves, community forums, and, having a functional store, a good library, all those things, they were largely ignored as a positive feature until Epic came along and we really noticed their absence. Now, beyond that, Valve, they're on the forefront of VR with the Steam VR SDK, Index, things like Half-Life Alyx, and in terms of, helping devs out elsewhere, they've been offering a whole suite of things with Steamworks for years, achievements, you've got that, you've got game and store statistics, game servers, free Steam keys for retail stores and more. If you take things like Steam Input and Steam Big Picture, that's also fantastic for their use cases. Steam Remote Play, that's an incredible feature. I mean, 2 years ago at Global Game Jam, we made a silly Titanic-themed brawler where Jack and Rose had to fight for the plank. Now, it doesn't have like online multiplayer, but with Steam Remote Play together, that's a game you could play online with your friends. I mean, if we actually, continue making it. And that is an incredible thing for devs. Has Epic been good for Steam? I would say yes. The library rework, that's great for devs. I mean, first, as a developer, your user has a better experience. That's really key. But second, devs are more easily able to interact with their community. The new recommendation engine, that is designed to surface lesser known games that users may love. That stuff is great, and that all came out in the face of Epic's exclusivity deals. So overall, I actually believe that Steam, it could see continued success here because they're allowing for a natural interplay between developers and customers. There's a good balance there. They try to support devs and support customers without, sort of letting, one kind of get a lot of control at the expense of the other. I think it's all a balance, and that balance between media, developer, consumer, that really matters, and last year showed us that so much. And really, when we say platforms, what we really mean is middlemen, right? The middlemen of gaming. Valve, Epic, GOG, Co, all of them. They're just that, they're middlemen. They are between the developer and the customer, and that means that, the formula for success is in pleasing both. I mean, that is, if we are to go for middlemen, and, I do fondly remember the days of, I just had a folder full of, shortcuts to EXEs, and I just owned all my games without a platform. Those were kind of good, simpler days in a way, but I can see how the convenience of platforms really has taken off with customers. Of course, though, and surprisingly, if we thought about this 5 years ago, Xbox has been massive, spurred on by PC, Games Pass PC and Play Anywhere. I mean, imagine Microsoft finally leveraging their huge Windows install base. Who'd have thought it? Now, what's interesting is that under Phil Spencer's leadership, they have focused on value to the point where Xbox and Microsoft, they're now doing well, even though they've got a really weak first-party exclusive offering, like broadly speaking this gen. But there's one problem though. Where Epic focused on developer to the expense of the customer, the Games Pass part of the strategy might actually be doing the opposite, to the point where, eventually it could hurt the creation of some games. The initial wave has been great. I mean, I know the Supermarket Shriek developers, and from what I understand there, they have had a great experience as a developer with Microsoft, and hell, whenever we talked to their EU rep last Gamescom, the BizDev area, it all seemed great. They were really great to work with. But the thing is, offering access to, I guess, eventually hundreds of games for a low cost of Games Pass, that could actually shift so much power and so much value there in a platform subsidized manner, and that could disrupt the industry. Microsoft can pump its insane resources into giving you, the customer, an incredible deal, but that could happen to the point where games generally are devalued. I mean, right now, we may all think it's great, it's a great deal, but that's only because I suspect we're in the honeymoon period. There is going to come a time where people are used to a Netflix-like model for getting games. Now, that will be bad for, say, Steam indies. I mean, why get Stardew Valley for £15 or any other indie game when $7.99 or, £1 with introductory offer gets you more games and you have time to play? Now, this will disrupt the economics of development and it will lead to less variety. Why? Well, this is going to hurt the developers who are unable to liaise with Xbox, and it would put even more of an emphasis on the business development side of making games. Now, that's already an important part of funding and marketing, but at least open discoverability platforms like Steam, they actually allow for, work to speak for itself, and it enables breakout hits. That's something that any Games Pass deal is unlikely to account for. And I mean, basically, it's the opposite approach to what Epic are taking, that it's taking power away from the developer. All the power is with the platform and the player. This is already beneficial to some because it has enabled so many players to engage with games and genres that they never actually thought they'd be playing, that they hadn't played before. But in devaluing devaluing games and putting more power into the incumbents and the people who are good at biz dev and networking, that might not be good for variety, because the other types of games who are not going to do well there, well, the economics of them just won't end up making as much sense, because consumers, they'll be used to extremely cheap, one subscription, you get all the games you could ever need. Why would I get another indie on Steam? And what could actually happen there is it could lead to less of those games being made because the financial viability is gone, and that could really hurt us as consumers and the variety of things that we get to see. And talking to other developers, right, and in the bars, right, after the BizDev part of Gamescom, right, sort of, the little hush-hush stuff. I mean, there's talks that, yeah, Games Pass Wave 1 was absolutely incredible, but there's a lot of devs who, are less optimistic about the future after this initial rush where all the platforms with billions of dollars behind them are just trying to gobble up content. What happens after that honeymoon period? Right now, we don't know, but it could actually go quite badly for the variety of games. And then I suppose there's two things to round off. There's GOG, right? They have went extremely pro-consumer with Galaxy 2. It's great, but will it work? Because there's this sort of thing. I mean, we all know, you think you do, but you don't from Blizzard. So the thing there is, like, how many people, think they want all these great features and they have this product that's going to give it to them, but they're just going to default to Steam or default to another thing? Right now, that's completely untested, and we don't know. And we don't know what the implications are there for GOG's platform. At the end of the day, is their rev split going to be enough to, really get devs in? Do they have the other support? Right now, I'm actually a little bit skeptical, even though I personally think that GOG Galaxy 2 is an incredible product that is super useful to people. Obviously, it will push people towards GOG's store, but I mean, hey, that's fair enough. They made a just incredible launcher. And then finally Rockstar, who in a way show the downsides of platforms, right? I mean, they can be real bastards to their customers, and they certainly were with the Rockstar Games launcher, but it does highlight here, cutting out the middleman, right? Cutting out the other platform, just rolling your own. Being a vertically integrated business, it's obviously going to be much more profitable, and I've got to wonder, will there become a point with the larger IPs where that's far more of a normal thing? Just think about Activision Blizzard. They put it all on Battle.net. They don't deal with a rev split. They get 100% minus a payment processing fee. So there you go. That is the wrap up of platforms. I think platforms are actually impacting PC gaming now more than they ever were, because the status quo has been disrupted more so in 2019 than I really think in any year since perhaps when Steam actually first launched. And remember, when Steam first launched, people were pissed. They were like, Steam did not launch to good fanfare. It was only after the fact that it started to become such a good platform and everyone basically ended up using it. So that's what it's like now. But we're entering a new decade, which, I mean, is a totally arbitrary thing, but, it's now kind of the year after all that stuff went down, and we're going to have to see where this goes. I've got a lot of concerns about things like Games Pass. I mean, I think it's great for consumers right now, but I worry about the dev, realities. And we're just seeing that across so many things. But overall, I think the most important point here is that maintaining that balance between developer and customer, that is the key to, I think, both success and harmony. That lack of harmony has been the largest problem in gaming, and it's no surprise that this sort of rift between devs, platforms, and the media, that really has been one of the things that just damaged gaming coverage, and I think aspects of gaming as a hobby so much in 2019. And really, I do think it's that breakdown in communication and, between all the different sides is the worst part of the gaming hobby that's really a roadblock to so much other, progress being made, because there's a lot of things where there's actually a lot of shared agreement, right? That sucks the most. And right now, I think the only way we can get out of it is if, kind of the core people really start just trying to engage with things in a really top level, idea-based fashion and being a bit more analytical. And I guess in some ways, not taking the bait as much. Because, a lot of those articles are very inflammatory. They're kind of like that for a purpose to get clicks. And I mean, it's hard not to react to a really vitriolic article when, it feels like that article is targeting you. So yeah, it's a messy situation. That's the video on platforms. What do you think about platforms? What do you think's a winner? What do you think's a loser? How do you want competition to evolve the industry? Tell me down below. Thank you very much for watching this content. There's other stuff in the channel for you to check out. And with that, I'll see you next time.